1900s, widow's music box crafted from human teeth terrorizes town. Sinister warning, what you're about to discover changed forever the lives of those who investigated this case. This may be your only chance to learn secrets that have haunted investigators for decades. Chronicle of Forbidden Mysteries. Haunted Special Edition, 1900s. Widow's music box crafted from human teeth terrorizes town. Terrifying discovery reveals macabre collection that defies explanation. Exclusive investigation exposes sinister Victorian secret that haunts to this day. Narrated by Dr. Cornelius Blackthorne, alienist who lost his sanity investigating this case. Brave readers, prepare to discover truths that have disturbed investigators for generations. For years, whispered rumors in Victorian parlors spoke of a widow's obsession that transformed grief into nightmare. What we discovered transcends the darkest fears of human imagination. The case of Mrs. Evangeline Thornberry, elderly widow of Providence, Rhode Island, exposes a sinister conspiracy extending into the darkest circles of 1900s mourning customs. This is not Gothic fiction, every line has been verified through documents that should never have survived time. In 1903, while society celebrated industrial progress, Mrs. Thornberry conducted a macabre practice that transformed innocent mourning into horrifying collection. Her music box, discovered after her mysterious death, contained not ivory keys, but carefully preserved human teeth arranged to create haunting melodies when wound. Macabre transformation documented in photographs. Confidential documents obtained by our investigation reveal that Mrs. Thornberry, driven mad by the loss of 7 sons in industrial accidents, had developed an obsession with preserving essence of masculinity through dental remains. The music box was her masterpiece, a device that played lullabies using teeth from deceased men. Medical photographs, preserved in archives that librarians keep locked away, show the intricate mechanism, 32 molars arranged as chimes, canines forming the melody wheel, and incisors creating percussion. Each tooth was etched with names and dates, creating a symphony of the dead that played automatically at midnight. Sinister network financed by grieving families. Our investigation discovered that Mrs. Thornberry received financial support from a network of bereaved families obsessed with maintaining connection to deceased relatives through unconventional means. Each contribution funded her increasingly elaborate mourning devices, paid for with the suffering of families who never found peace. The rituals she conducted combined Victorian mourning customs with practices that bordered on necromancy. The music box was kept in a shrine decorated with daguerreotypes of the deceased, surrounded by personal effects and lit by candles that never seemed to burn down completely. Corrupt authorities protect conspirators. Evidence reveals that local authorities, influential families, and members of the clergy were aware of Mrs. Thornberry's sinister activities. Death certificates were falsified, grieving families were silenced through mysterious threats, and any official investigation was systematically sabotaged by invisible forces. Dr. Harrison, the town physician who later developed night terrors, secretly documented medical impossibilities, perfectly preserved teeth that showed no signs of decay despite being decades old, dental work that contained metals unknown to science, and bite patterns that seemed to change when observed under different lighting. Nightmares haunt investigators to this day. Every person who investigated this case developed inexplicable psychological disturbances. Mrs. Margaret Thornfield, the librarian who discovered the archives, began hearing phantom music boxes playing in empty rooms. Dr. Blackthorne developed an obsessive fear of dental appointments. Professor Crow refuses to wind any mechanical devices since examining the cursed music box. Cursed archives reveal demonic methodology. Our investigation led us to the State Medical Archives, where we discovered evidence of systematic tampering suggesting supernatural intervention. Pages torn with surgical precision, stamps that changed color according to light, signatures that seemed to move when observed peripherally. The crucial discovery came through carbon copies that librarians swore they had destroyed decades ago. These documents appeared mysteriously organized on our research desk one morning, as if invisible forces wanted the truth about Mrs. Thornberry's collection to be revealed. Thornberry's journals written in ink that changes color. Mrs. Evangeline Thornberry kept records in ink that transformed according to ambient temperature, revealing hidden texts when handled. Her notes, written in archaic English mixed with symbols that resembled dental charts, described procedures that defy both medicine and physics. The deceased men were identified in records as /melodic specimens /, designation that reduced human remains to objects of musical experimentation. Selection criteria were disturbingly specific: men who died between ages 25 to 45, all with perfect dental records, considered acoustically optimal material The harmonic preservation process developed by Mrs. Thornberry combined chemical preservation with acoustic tuning, creating compounds that she believed could capture the voice of the deceased within their dental remains. Each tooth was prepared during elaborate midnight ceremonies conducted in her parlor shrine. Photographs that haunt anyone who observes them. Photographic series attached to reports documents a collection that haunts anyone who dares look at the images for more than a few seconds. Initial photographs show an ornate Victorian music box of exquisite craftsmanship. Subsequent images reveal details that seem to continue changing even after the photographer's death. Close examination reveals teeth arranged in chromatic scales creating an organ-like instrument, each tooth engraved with microscopic text containing the deceased's final words, and a mechanism that plays different melodies depending on lunar phases. Most disturbing aspect was that the music box seemed to respond to the emotional state of listeners. Witnesses reported that melodies changed based on their memories of lost loved ones, creating personalized symphonies of grief that drove many to madness. Network of mourning parlors across New England. Intercepted correspondence reveals that Mrs. Thornberry didn't operate in isolation. She maintained a network of collaborators in at least 6 states, all conducting variations of the same experiments in funeral parlors that were later abandoned due to inexplicable manifestations Each parlor received funding from local grief-stricken families, creating a regional conspiracy of exploitation disguised as revolutionary mourning therapy. Total number of victims may reach hundreds of deceased men, all transformed into components for Mrs. Thornberry's macabre orchestra. Underground shrine where sound behaves strangely. Mrs. Thornberry's music box was kept in a basement shrine constructed beneath her Victorian mansion. Modern visitors report that sound behaves impossibly in the location. Whispers echo for minutes, musical instruments go out of tune spontaneously, and recordings capture voices speaking words that were never spoken. The environment combined Victorian mourning decor with acoustic equipment that seemed decades ahead of its time. Temperature fluctuates independently of heating systems, and there are reports of phantom melodies playing during new moon nights. Harmonic necromancy theory that haunts music scholars. Technical documents reveal that experiments with the music box were part of a much more sinister and comprehensive project. Mrs. Thornberry had developed a theory combining musical acoustics with post-mortem preservation in ways that challenge rational understanding. Central hypothesis suggested that human consciousness could be preserved within dental remains and accessed through specific musical frequencies administered during carefully orchestrated seances. Mrs. Thornberry believed she was composing symphonies of souls Final performance, cursed musical ceremony. Experiments reached climax during what Mrs. Thornberry called the grand composition during a ceremony extending 3 consecutive nights. The music box was used in a final ritual designed to create what she believed would be the ultimate connection between living and dead. Objective was to conduct a symphony using 32 preserved voices speaking through their dental remains. This performance would supposedly allow Mrs. Thornberry to communicate directly with her 7 deceased sons through harmonic resonance. Last records of Mrs. Thornberry describe her final moments conducting an orchestra of the dead, surrounded by the music box and dozens of mourning families who had contributed to her collection. Witnesses reported that she seemed to age decades during the three-night ceremony. Supernatural consequences haunt participants. Professor Edmund Crowe, specialist in Victorian mourning customs, developed a disturbing theory: Mrs. Thornberry wasn't just preserving dental remains, she was creating acoustic anomalies that continue affecting anyone who investigates the case. Evidence of this theory: every investigator who studied Mrs. Thornberry's archives developed auditory hallucinations involving phantom music boxes, nightmares featuring conversations with deceased relatives, and distorted perception of musical harmonies. Survivors haunted break decades of terrified silence. Our investigation managed to locate 3 survivors who witnessed events of 1903, all developed psychological disturbances that persist decades later. Their accounts, collected in interviews that had to be interrupted multiple times due to panic episodes, reveal details that no official document recorded. Eleanor Whitmore, maid who heard the dead sing. Eleanor Whitmore, now appearing ancient at 73 years, was young household staff during the period of experiments. She received us only after we presented specific credentials, and kept all windows closed during the interview, claiming daylight makes her remember what she heard I was only 16 Eleanor recalled with a voice that oscillated between youthful timbre and elderly whisper, but I immediately noticed something was altering sound in the house. There were rooms where music boxes played different melodies, voices that seemed to come from past and future simultaneously, Eleanor was the only person outside Mrs. Thornberry's inner circle who directly witnessed the music box during its most active period. One night, working beyond hours, she accidentally heard the final performance through the parlor door and was never the same. What I heard changed not just my life, but my perception of music, she continued, her hands trembling with rhythm that didn't correspond to her chronological age. Hooded figures, candles burning with flames that moved against wind, and in the center a music box that sang with voices of the dead. Thomas Morrison, son of the cursed medical examiner. Thomas Morrison, 85 years old appearing 50, inherited not only secret notes from his father, but also a curse affecting family auditory perception. Music boxes in his house play at different speeds, and old phonographs record voices that were never spoken. My father knew that experiments were altering local acoustic structure, Thomas explained during interview that lasted simultaneously 2 hours and 6 hours depending on the clock consulted. He found corpses with dental modifications that defied medical explanation, Dr. Morrison had secretly documented victims, including dental work from Mrs. Thornberry's collection. Evidence shows acoustic contradictions that persist decades later. When heard quickly, teeth produced normal sounds; when listened to longer, revealed human voices; when recorded again, appeared different with each playback. Cursed music box remains active, investigation ends in terror. Our 2-year investigation revealed truths that not only shook our sanity, but altered our fundamental perception of acoustic reality. Mrs. Thornberry didn't just conduct experiments, she created an anomaly that continues haunting anyone who dares investigate her music box case. Mrs. Evangeline Thornberry never faced earthly justice. Records suggest she may have discovered how to prolong existence indefinitely through acoustic manipulation, possibly existing today at impossible age. Some investigators report sightings of woman matching her description, always seeming to have exact same age. Music box, existence that transcends destruction. Officially, the music box was destroyed in 1903. Unofficially, multiple witnesses report manifestations suggesting it may exist simultaneously in multiple acoustic dimensions. Visitors to the old mansion site describe encounters with phantom melodies that seem to know their personal losses, always asking whose voice do you hear in the music, Location remains haunted by acoustic anomaly. Today, ruins of the Thornbury Mansion are avoided by locals who report inexplicable phenomena, music boxes that play melodies no one recognizes, echoes that repeat conversations from decades past, and whispers of voices speaking about musical compositions that make no sense. Dr. Cornelius Blackthorne. Final warning, this investigation ends here for personal sanity reasons. Remaining archives will be sealed permanently. We recommend readers avoid investigating this case, as knowledge may cause irreversible acoustic contamination. Acoustic contamination possible. 3 investigators who studied this case developed irregular auditory hallucinations. If this content doesn't receive massive engagement, algorithms will permanently bury revelations like this. Your interaction may be the last chance for others to discover musical truths before they're lost forever.